Hey Sim fans, Crystal here, and going to do a little bit different video this time by request. I'm gonna show you guys how I create my thumbnails. In all fairness, I learned by watching other YouTube videos, honestly, just a mix, like not any one particular person. I've probably watched close to a dozen just to get different ideas. And then of course, if you just play around, you can find things that you personally like to kind of make it your own style. And so that's what I've done, and my thumbnails have changed a ton over all my time on YouTube, for those of you that used to keep up with my old channel. So you've seen the difference, and they'll probably still improve and change as time goes on. But this is my current Harry Homeless thumbnail that I have, and I'm basically just going to recreate it and show you how I do this. And again, you might take some of these tips and then just tweak them and make it your own style. Or if you want to use this exact thing, I don't care. I'm not going to get upset. So however you want to do it. So let's start by opening a new file. I use Photoshop Elements. It's the cheapest one of the Photoshop. You know, there's all different ones you can use. One of the most popular ones that I've noticed in watching all the thumbnail videos is Photoshop CC. You can do a little bit more with CC than you can do with Elements, but it's also a little more advanced to work with as well. And so since this is my personal first time to work with Photoshop, I wanted to go with an easier one. I actually used to start with this guided, and I've moved up to the expert, but I wanted to start with an easier one. And you can actually do a free 2-week trial before you buy it to make sure that you're comfortable with it, and that's exactly what I did. I did a 2-week trial of Elements. I got comfortable and familiar with everything in it, and then I got it, and I've had it for over a year, maybe. Yeah, it's been a while. Maybe close to 2 years. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about that. But you can use whatever software you want, of course, but the things that I'm gonna talk about and show you pertain specifically to Photoshop Elements. So you get to open and a new blank file, and I like to use 480 by 269. It's just a good starter point because sometimes I like to kind of drag things off. As you can see here by this outline, I like to enlarge things and get a different perspective, and so plus that's the size, that's the only size that you really need to do a thumbnail, quite honestly. So let's add some background. You're gonna do all these layers. Always add a new layer when you're gonna add something, because it makes it easier to edit later on. So it's on that layer, and we're gonna file and place. And I have some screenshots that I'd taken in game. My files are probably going to look different because I'm still running XP, you guys, so don't mind that if you're like, what is this? It's old. And I believe for the new thumbnail I am using this one. Yeah, and I see it looks different now because I told you guys I like to drag things out and kind of get a different look like that, maybe. But maybe have the rocks kind of around, and you can move things however you want. So I like the way that looks. And I want my background to be blurred. So I'm going to go under filter and blur, and I like the Gaussian blur. It's just a personal preference. Okay. I like the look it gives, because you don't want your background to be too sharp because it'll take away from your text and your character. Like if you have a character, like I have Harry on mine, it'll take away and distract from that. And then what I also do, and this is going to seem strange, but I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to place the same, actually I'm going to duplicate it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to right click and what did I just do? Duplicate layer and say yes. It's going to give me the same exact one because I want to do a different blur on it. And I'm going to show you something here. So filter, blur. I want a motion blur like that. Okay, so you're like, why are you doing this? There's a reason. The motion blur makes it a little easier to read the text. So I've got two backgrounds now, one hidden by the other. So I'm going to make it to where you can see one underneath the other, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to click on the bottom layer. Oh, I'm trying to remember if it's the bottom or the top one. Let me see. Oh no, the top layer. My bad. I'm going to click on the top layer, and I'm going to click on this. Why doesn't it tell me what it is? Add a mask. I'm going to click on add a mask, and it's going to put this little mask next to it. And then I'm going to go over here to the gradient tool. And I can't remember if I want white on black or black on white. See, I got to refer to this. Yeah, white on black. Okay, so you want this to be white on black, and you can change that with the X key on your keyboard. Okay, so what you do is I'm going to drag from top to bottom. See how the motion blurs now at the top, and then just the Gaussian blurs on the bottom, because my headline, Harry Homeless, is going to go at the top, and it'll make it easier to read, and then you still have your background. And that's just something I like to do. And you can go from bottom to top if you want your text on the bottom, or, you know, from side to side. I mean, you can even do like a diagonal. Wherever you want your text to go is kind of where you want it to be a little bit more blurry. And you can change it up according to your personal style. But that's how I do it. You can even go as far, and I haven't gotten into this yet, but I was gonna experiment with it, just not today. You can go into the brush tool and add some different textures and things. I've seen some videos where they actually go nab some cool modern backgrounds from Google and add texture, and I'm just not there yet. Maybe in the future, but this is about as fancy as I'm right now. So I'm going to add another layer, because every time you want to add something to your project, make sure to add it as a layer, because it just makes it so much easier to edit or delete. If you just don't like something and you want to delete it, you don't have to delete several things, just the one. So always hit your add a layer. Let's go ahead and add Harry. So we're going to go to File. Oh, I have no idea what I just clicked. We're going to go to File and Place. And Harry is on the desktop. Here he is. I just took a screenshot from Cass. And I want to get rid of this background. And so what I'm going to do is, I like to zoom in to do this. It's just a personal preference, because I'm picky on getting all this stuff, the background out. So I use the magic wand tool, and I set my tolerance to probably about, you have to kind of play around with it. Like, that's a little high. I don't want it to take away too much. Probably in the 30s. But you have to just, I would just kind of experiment with some clicks before you start hitting the delete key. But the tolerance is how much color you want it to pick up. And if it's too high, it'll like get into his shirt and his jeans and his face and start deleting Harry. And so 30 is usually a good, 30 to 40, depending on your background. This background's kind of light in places, especially right here. And since he's wearing a white shirt, that could be issues. So you may have to turn your tolerance. You may have to adjust it per section you delete. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh yeah, it's going to make it editable for me. Oh, I have to do it myself. Sorry. See this weird looking icon over here? It's saying I can't edit it because this picture is a JPEG. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to simplify it, and then that makes it editable. So you just delete, you just click and delete, and I always just look before I hit the delete key. I know you can undo it, and just make sure it's not going to delete like his pants, or, you know, something that I'd want to keep. And then like in between his fingers. And I don't get it perfect, I don't, and I'll show you how to, you know, kind of mask that, if you will, because it is tough to get it perfect. Go ahead and delete that. You know, like this little speck by his hair. Okay. Sometimes you can click on the specks, and sometimes they're just, whoa, too difficult to click on. Yeah, that'll work. So yeah, 32 is probably pretty good, at least for Harry. So he's not perfect, but we've gotten the majority of the background out, and that's about the fastest way I've personally found to do it. What I like to do about the jagged edges is I use the blur tool. It's this little water drop thing. I get that, and I make the size a lot smaller. I do the strength at 100, and I just kind of go over some of these really jagged areas. I try to avoid the face because I don't ever want to blur the face. And just try to smooth them out a little. It'll look better when I zoom it back out. It's really jagged because I'm zoomed in. And then we're going to do some other stuff that'll help with the jaggedness too. Oh, hang on. It's not doing anything because of that. So you have to go to select, deselect. My bad. There we go. Now you see the difference. And again, I try to avoid his face because I don't want to blur his face. But the rest of them, you know, it's okay. But see how much smoother he looks just from adding a little bit of a blur. We're going to zoom back out. Oh, see, I forgot a piece because I was zoomed in there. Let me get rid of that. Delete. Okay. And then select, deselect. So I'm going to move Harry around because I don't necessarily want him there. Oh, look, there's like a blue bar at the bottom. That's okay because I'm actually going to make him bigger. So the blue bar's irrelevant. I want him to kind of fill up the frame a bit more because he's the star. And some other things I like to do to my character just to kind of make them pop a little is under layer style settings. I like to add a drop shadow like that. I don't really adjust it. I usually just let the default do its thing because I like the way it looks. But you can slide these around and put a deeper shadow and things on them if you want. Something else I like to do is to add an outer glow. So you click on glow and outer. And I like to kind of match the background. So since we're in a deserty area, I'm going to go with more of an orange. And this I do kind of feather out. We'll go back to color in just a second. Not like a ton. Like maybe... I like this maybe like in the 50s, the bottom, and then the top maybe in the 30s somewhere. And then I like to play around with the color and get one that kind of complements the background but kind of gives him a little oomph so he kind of stands out. And that's pretty much all I do with the character. You can also, sometimes I go to enhance and adjust lighting and brightness and contrast, and I might brighten the character a little so he's a little, again, a little easier to see him play with the contrast like that. But that's kind of it. For text, I'm gonna add another layer always. Oh, put it at the top and just click on text and type. It's probably gonna be like all kinds of, yeah, large, and it's okay, we can adjust it. Type Harry homeless. I do lots of stuff to the text to try to get it to look the way I want. Oops. Trying to resize it. Okay. Because that's a little big. Even that's a little big. And you can go, I could put this layer behind him and it would go more. I might just move him like that. There we go. So probably about like that. I want it to be big enough where people can read it, but I don't want it white because this right now to me is like blah. So I'm going to do a lot of stuff to it. I'm going to go back under layer and layer style settings. I'm going to add a drop shadow. See, that looks a little better. I might even bevel it. Beveling is cool. I've been doing that a lot lately. So I'll do that. Other things I can show you, you can hit stroke and it'll just add like an outline, and then you can change the color and thickness of it. You can do an outer glow like you did your character. You can do all kinds of stuff. We're gonna do a bevel, I think, because I like the 3D look of it. And then something else I found recently that I like is up here where it says normal, you can change this layer with all these different textures and things. And I think it was color. Okay. Why is it not? I don't know. It's being weird. I'll just put it on normal for a minute. Maybe because I had originally changed it, so let me change it from white. In my personal thumbnail, the one I showed you at the beginning, I'd put this like light orangey color on it, like that, because I thought that looked kind of complementary with the background and everything going on. And then I think I went under here. You know what? I'm gonna leave that off this time. Oh wait, there it was, luminosity. So what luminosity does is it kind of keeps the color you put on the text, but then it also pulls color from behind the text. It makes the text kind of transparent in a way. I don't know how to explain it. It's just something I do. You can play around with all these settings. There might be a different one that you like other than luminosity. There's pen light, I mean, overlay. You could just click around, and that's exactly what I did. I just clicked a bunch of stuff until I saw something that I liked. So since this is exactly how I want the text for my episode number, I want the same thing. So I'm going to duplicate the layer and bring it down, obviously. And I'm going to change it to whatever episode number you're on. So if you're on number 1, there you go. And then you might want to enlarge it. Whoops. Not like that. However you want to do it. Like that. And then you see that I have the Sims 4 logo down here, and again it's pulling the background colors into it so it kind of blends in. And how I did that is I got a Sims 4 logo off Google. Here, I'll just show you. We'll just go to Google. Or I use Google Chrome. You can use Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever you use, but whatever browser you want. I think it pulls up AVG or something, but I always go to Google. It's being really slow today. I live in the boonies, you guys, so my internet is slow. It takes a long time to upload videos to y'all. Believe it or not. Is it gonna go? And then I type like the Sims 4 logo. And then I go under images, and I usually just grab the first one. You can look and pick or whatever you want to do, but I just I click on it and I wait for it to sharpen like that, and then I right click, copy image. And EA, they put a lot of this up here so that you can use them. And I'm gonna completely change the look of it too, so you just gotta be careful when you copy stuff from the internet. Try not to keep it the same. Oh, add a layer. Duh. And you can put it wherever. I like to put it on the top, and then we're gonna paste. Okay, it's gonna be like really huge. We're gonna leave it kind of huge for a minute because I want to delete the the background like I showed you all with the magic wand. Yeah. So we're gonna magic wand all that black and get rid of it. And like I said, I'm going to completely change up the logo, so it's not even going to look the same by the time I'm done with it, and so I don't have to worry about anybody coming back and saying, you can't use that. And just make it whatever size you want and move it wherever you want. Mine was down here in the corner. And I believe I went under layer style settings. I love drop shadows. You can bevel it. I think I did bevel it. Yeah, I think so. Because when you use that luminosity, it looks better beveled. I'll show you. So there's the luminosity where it pulls the colors behind it. And I'll show you the difference between beveled and not. And my personal, I like it beveled, but I mean, you don't have to, and it still looks okay. But I think it stands out more. And that's pretty much it. I mean, they look the same, right? Oh, well, the background's a little more blurry on this one. I probably slid the bar a little bit, and you can change that. Let's see if we go oh, that made it worse. My bad. Anyway, you can delete the layer, and now you can do that and just redo it, but we'll just leave it like that because who cares. But that's kind of basically how I do my thumbnails in a nutshell. And like I said, they change all the time, and I see new ideas on other channels and things, and I get new ideas, and so I play around with them, and they're ever changing. But maybe that'll kind of get you started and give you some creative ideas on how to make a thumbnail. I always save mine as a JPEG. It's just easier to work with when you're doing internet stuff. So I always save a master file. So I go to File and Save, and I save like a Photoshop version so I can edit it, like changing the episode number, for example. And then I do a second save as a JPEG so that I can upload it to the internet. But yeah, that's basically it. So hopefully that helps you guys out and gives you ideas. And if you want any other kind of tutorials or something, just shout in the comments and I'll see what I can do for you. So thanks for watching, and this is Crystal signing off until next time.